Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vicious Mockery. I'm
Welcome back, you salty sea dogs. I'm Austin.
Arr.
And today's episode is all about boats?
and ships.
Wait, what's the... Oh, no. I actually don't know what's the difference? What makes something a boat or a ship? Like visually, I could tell. I would say, that thing's a boat, that thing's a ship. And I guess ships are bigger?
It's, I think, mostly about size.
Just like everything.
Yeah. Size is everything. That's true. You're right.
Speaking of size, this isn't really, it doesn't have to do with size, but hey, I noticed we had, up till right this moment, 69 views on our podcast. Wow.
Magical.
That is 68 more than I thought we would ever have, even though we have 3 episodes.
Yeah. And we both watch them.
Right, yeah. But that part of the math didn't occur to me until now. But otherwise, I mean, I did not think that would happen. Also,
yeah,
1,000 minutes of watch time.
1,000 minutes of watch
I can't
time.
believe anyone has listened to my stupid ranting for 1,000 minutes. Even though I do know that I was a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree. When you told me that, I couldn't believe it. Kind of. I was like, really? 1,000 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds, really it's small in the grand scheme of things, but it's way more than I was expecting.
Yep.
Absolutely. Hey, can I tell you about something?
Yeah.
Just to get in the swing of things.
Oh yeah.
This is an early morning episode, everybody. Not really that early, I guess, but it's a breakfast episode.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So, some friends of ours just bought a house recently.
Yeah.
And it needs some work, I've been helping them a lot. I helped them tear out the carpet and everything. Let me tell you about what the previous owners did to this poor house. That's not immediately apparent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you would walk in there and just know. You can't look at it. So there was it's an older house, so there was plenty of wallpaper in the kitchen, and there's like a little breakfast nook too.
Yep.
And there was a lot of that in there. Wallpaper is already pretty annoying to take off.
Oh yeah,
as it is.
Yeah. So
we started taking off the wallpaper. I was helping them out. We got the wallpaper off, and then we noticed something a little bit odd under the wallpaper. Dude.
Oh my god, spiders?
No.
It's just a bunch of... Oh, okay.
So...
Yeah.
The walls are plaster.
Right.
There was paint under the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Pretty normal.
Yep.
Under the paint?
Yes.
More wallpaper.
Oh no.
There was wallpaper under the paint. Somebody painted over wallpaper.
Right.
And then put wallpaper over that. So that is, if taking off wallpaper was annoying.
Oh boy, you got some work cut out for you.
Oh my god. So this is in the breakfast nook where they're really hoping it's not in the kitchen too, but it's looking likely that it's everywhere.
Oh, like everywhere?
No.
Just
in the kitchen. The wallpaper is only in the kitchen dining room area.
Wait, how do you know the rest of the house isn't paint over wallpaper?
It could be, but they're just going to paint over it if that's the case.
So you're part of the problem.
I guess so. I guess we're all part of the problem. But I had to share that because it's so crazy. Like, just in the mindset where you're like, oh, this is not going to be a problem.
That's what you get. So... That's the part that's missing from D&D right now.
Okay.
There are no rules regarding painting your base.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no rule about it. Like what do I roll to put up wallpaper?
Okay, that sounds dexterity based.
Yeah. It's got to be, but
is it just I'm thinking it's just a dexterity check, sleight of hand. No.
Sleight of hand to get the wallpaper, then the paint, then the wallpaper.
Yeah,
before anybody notices.
Oh, yeah, like a stealth check.
Yeah.
Just to try to
like
do
you spend a whole week being like, oh, I'm just putting up this wall. Nothing's going on weird here.
Nothing.
Does it smell like paint in here?
No, that's just your imagination.
Yeah, it's no, that's nothing, man.
That's nothing.
Maybe are you having a stroke? Is that one of the?
Yeah, burnt toast, paint.
Yeah, how much
guacamole.
Wallpaper do you see over here? Guacamole. Wait, no, guacamole. What?
Yeah, those are the smells that you smell if you have a stroke.
Oh, is paint actually one of them?
Burnt toast, paint, guacamole. No.
Oh, okay.
Burnt toast is the only.
What does guacamole smell like?
Avocados and garlic, onions. I don't know. What's in guacamole? I don't know. Mostly it's avocados.
Huh. I'm not really an avocado guy.
I like guacamole.
I'm not really a guacamole guy.
Whoops.
Oh no, that's fine.
It's my bad.
Anyway, so what kind of things we talking about here today?
Well, I was thinking, okay, maybe we could start off my thoughts, homebrew a little bit. We're gonna get to pulling the homebrew right from my Reddit sources.
Mm-hmm.
But first, creating your own homebrew stuff.
Oh,
like how
very
do you,
nice.
Yeah, how do you go about that? We're gonna start. I mean, you can homebrew anything, like including like rules and feats, monsters, anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
pants,
yeah, languages. I mean, really, like languages is pretty easy, probably.
Yeah.
This is a language,
or really hard. It depends on what you like.
Are you J.R.R. Tolkien? But so we'll start with something that I'm sure everybody will try to homebrew at some point: magic items.
Magic items.
That's something that's pretty common to want to homebrew, I think.
So the easy way is to just rename something.
Right.
So you've got like a belt of storm giant strength. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You could just be like, all right, yeah, that, but my character doesn't have a waist.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, they're gonna have like a crown of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're playing as a slime or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Look, yeah, hey, people.
Oh yeah. You can homebrew playable character
right.
races. Yeah, of course.
We'll get to that. No,
yeah,
but
yes.
That's one. You do have to be a little careful with that because
Mm-hmm.
you have to make sure that it's balanced. But for the most part, if it already exists in the game, well, if people say it's unbalanced or something, whatever. But it's not more unbalanced, then you're not messing things up.
Right. Well, that's the tough thing, I think, about creating, because you can it's basically, the thing about D&D, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
it's basically make-believe, like
Mm-hmm.
when you were a kid, but you add rules on it so that there are actual stakes and it's not fun. I don't think it's very fun if it's literally just you do whatever you want.
Right.
Like there's got to be some sort of limitations, otherwise.
I mean, just look at how miserable Saitama is in One Punch Man.
Yeah,
right. Like
exactly.
If that's your D&D game, if you're like, hey DM, did I notice on the ground, was there a eternal gauntlets of infinite strength? Did I just pick those up and put them on and then punch through all the bad guys in one punch?
One punch. Yeah, it's that's not fun, right?
Right.
Maybe it's fun. It would be fun as maybe like a one shot where you're just like insanely strong. You like do all that cool stuff. You feel awesome, but that's not like sustainable.
No.
For fun, because there has to be that balance. You gotta fail sometimes for like when you don't fail to feel good.
Yeah, or at the very least, not even necessarily fail, but see that there's an obstacle. Because you could opt not to partake, right? You could be like, that's too strong. I'm gonna not fight it now.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you'll come back and fight that. and maybe and I think that most people wouldn't consider that to be a failure, but I consider you to be a failure in general.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think that.
Sorry, I'm just getting that vicious mockery out.
Oh,
all right, we'll
right.
keep going. We'll keep going.
Oh, that's true. That's the name of the show. The magic items, when it comes to balancing, I think when people say balancing, they're just saying, is this magic item too good where it makes the game easy, or is it like so weak that it's not even worth having?
Right.
You know?
And the real thing to consider is that item too good for your party? Right?
Yeah, that's true too.
The DM can just throw tougher bad guys at you.
Well, that's the thing, because that's where it gets to like, because you can also, it's tough because if you throw a bad guy at the party and you know they're all level 5 and you're like, oh man, I gave these guys way too strong magic items.
Yeah.
And you throw like a CR10 monster at them or something, and then they all die, like it's TPK. Then you're like, ooh, well, I took that a little bit maybe too far.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Well, you could do it gradually though. Like there are more and more monsters. Oh, you got all these strong items. Things are attracted to that.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, you're right. You'll have to build it up.
But what I would worry about is, would this item make, first of all, the other party members useless in some way?
Yeah, you don't want to make anybody feel like they're not doing anything because the one person's too strong.
And also, would this make my other abilities useless in some way? Right? Like, is this so good that I don't have any other options?
Yeah, that's like the video game, you know, the tough thing about making a video game, because if there's one strategy that is like the most consistently effective, that's the only thing that players will do.
Yeah.
If that's the thing that works. Right?
And if all they care about is winning, they'll keep winning. But most people care about other parts of the game as well. Yeah, exactly.
But they won't care about them if you don't present those other things as being important for the game too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm coming up with, this doesn't have anything to do with magic items, but I'm coming up right now with a Halloween themed one-shot. And when I was thinking about it, you know, the players will play the monsters, right? And they have to go, you know, kill the good guys or something.
Right. And so they have to trick or treat.
Right, and they're going to go trick or treat.
Lots of tricks.
And I thought about it, and I thought, well, you know what's cool? I think that every encounter will result in some kind of battle, I'm sure, right? Because all players like combat for the most part. But I thought that that's a little bit boring if it's just like, oh, you know, you go, you know, the premise will be that the players are monsters, and whatever you know, NPC hero that they're going to try to take over, they're not strong enough by themselves to do it.
Right.
Like they cannot kill them by themselves. So it's like a coalition of monsters where they all are like, okay, we're going to band together. We're going to systematically see if we can take care of all of these heroes together, because on our own we can't do it.
Right.
You know, which I think is a fun idea. Hopefully everybody likes it. But it's not that. But I thought, then, wouldn't it be cooler if it wasn't that straightforward for all of them? Like a couple of them, the premise is you want to kill this person, right? And that's it. But I thought, well, what if, you know, it would be more interesting, I think, if this kind of monster doesn't want to kill them, they want to corrupt them. They want to turn them evil. And they say, okay, I need everybody's help to, you know, pull the strings behind the scene for this person to turn them evil, you know, and that kind of thing. Like set up something that will, or like we want to give them morally ambiguous choices that push them in the direction of making evil decisions. Or what one of them, one of them, it's like you don't the character doesn't necessarily want to kill the person. That I mean, they do, but the main goal is that they had something taken from them and they want it back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that kind of stuff. More motivations. So I think that, you know, if you want to engage players, there is a point to all of this.
Yeah.
If you want to engage players in other ways, I think that like with magic items, give them magic items that are useful in some of those other instances.
Right.
You know, that'll help them find things, like if they're looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then give them things to look for.
Really, what you want to do is tie it in with whatever motivates their character.
Right, absolutely.
Like, or give them the wrong magic item. Give them one that would be good for a different character in the party, and let them figure that out. But either way, like you want to give them magic items they're not necessarily about being the strongest, toughest people in combat, because they're gonna be that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know, if it's balanced, they're gonna get there.
Right.
Instead, you want them to be able to achieve whatever other goals their character has. Well, including, you know, maybe that is their goal.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to be the strongest, toughest, whatever they are.
Yeah. And I think it's a cool idea too. You know, if you have an idea for a magic item,
mm-hmm.
and you're like, I don't really know if this will be useful, or it doesn't really fit with anybody's character,
mm-hmm.
make it and give it to them anyway, and see what they do with it.
Yeah, they'll come up with better uses for it than you did.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what it always is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Look at a show like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I love that show. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And look at Legend of Korra too, for an extension of this.
Yeah.
All right. They start off with the bending powers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of, maybe this is a spoiler. By the end of The Last Airbender, Toph can metal bend.
Yeah.
Technically, people should have been able to do that the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But the show's writers were like, actually, I guess there is kind of like some, you know, like rock in the metal, isn't there? Like, basically, as the show was going, they came up with more and more creative uses of these powers.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, and as they discovered these things, they had the characters discover them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they did it in a really, really great way. That show was so good. They did it in a great way, you know, where it was the right character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she can't see, but she has the best. She had the best opportunity to figure this out,
right, of
anybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, because like Boomy was trapped in a metal cage, and he never thought of it.
Yeah. He didn't need to.
Well,
he could still earthbend
with his chin.
With his chin.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. He could just. He was like, I'm waiting. I'm not. He's like, I'm not stuck. I'm just waiting. I love how they had him hoisted up in the air in that
mm-hmm.
metal box. I just thought that was so funny. Because what else do you do with a master earthbender without killing him? You know,
mm-hmm.
the show for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You know, if you give them something, they'll figure out a way that maybe you didn't even think of.
Right.
Which I think is like the ultimate goal. Like,
right.
That's something
that's what the magic items should do.
And that's a plan that I have for the campaign. I have created a bunch of magic items that I have made for specific characters.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was going to be like, okay, this person gets this. And then I was like, wait, no. I'm just going to give this to these guys. Maybe I'll drop hints that some of these were meant for certain characters, but I'm going to let them decide which one was meant for who and who should get what.
Right.
And see what they think, because I can pretty much guarantee that you guys are going to have a different idea of who's going to get what item than I did.
Yeah.
For sure.
There could be some amazing Thor's hammer moments too.
Yeah.
You know, where somebody else wields the hammer.
Yeah.
Like
Captain America.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't say that.
Oh, sorry.
When did that movie come out?
20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time.
I don't know. It's been. I don't think you can spoil any Marvel movie at this point.
No. No, you can't.
If you haven't seen, and plus they're based off of comics that came out in like what, the 70s.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's an actual like 1-to-1 of any of the comics.
Well, no, but Captain America's picked up Thor's hammer in a comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, that's happened.
Well, they foreshadowed it so well anyway. It doesn't matter right now.
Right. Well, yeah, in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that was so good though.
Yeah.
Anyway, what magic items I think are kind of easy, as long as they fit in with the setting and everything. They're pretty good. I can't think of any abilities that are like too overpowered for them that you couldn't balance out with something else. Like, it gives you the ability to cast Wish at will, except every time you do, I guess in this case you'd probably take, I don't know, 60-10 of damage or something. Yeah, that sounds pretty fair. Or something like that.
The Wish spell itself has limitations already.
It does, right? So you can do that, but it wouldn't use a spell slot. So you'd have to do something there. But
well, I mean, it says like if you use it for basically anything other than casting another spell, then there's a percentage chance that you'll never be able to cast it again.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
So you know what? One of my favorite magic items is?
What's that?
Deck of Many Things.
Oh, dude.
It's not even good. You wouldn't like most people, if they got a Deck of Many Things and they knew what it did, would not use it.
Yeah, they would not touch it. Yeah.
Your character, what was it? They could
lots of bad things.
They could lose levels.
Yep.
Instantly.
Lose levels.
Right. I don't even remember some of the other stuff, but geez, it's pretty bad. However,
not to cut you off, did you know that? Do you know about how that happened in Critical Role?
No.
Spoilers. That Matt Mercer gave Vox Machina the first campaign.
Yeah.
He gave them a Deck of Many Things, and he gave it. The person who found it was Grog. 6 intelligence, I think that Travis should have immediately started
just like picked up the whole thing.
Yeah, started
just looked at all, spread it out.
Yeah, because that's what Grog would have done. But everybody else was like, oh God, because they knew what it was.
Yeah.
Travis, I don't think knew what it was.
He as a person didn't.
Yeah, like he didn't know what it was either. But he did at the end of the campaign, after the big bad fight.
Yeah.
He pulled one of the terrible cards.
Oh.
Like Grog was just like, I gotta do it. and they kind of like glossed over it in the moment, but they went back and retroactively did a one shot. He pulled the one, again, spoiler, oh boy, but he pulled the one where you get sent to another plane of existence and trapped by a powerful being. Yeah, that one. And so they had to they were all level 20 at that point. So it was not, I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal to go get them, but it wasn't
impossible.
It was more like a formality.
Yeah,
because they glossed over it in the moment. They were like, "Okay, you guys go get Grog."
There was no doubt that they could get him.
Yeah,
but the actual act of getting him could have been pretty dangerous.
Yes, exactly.
No, I like magic items like the Deck of Many Things.
Me too.
Ones that just like
something bad
could happen here.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason that I like that is because when the bad stuff happens in the game, to me, that's the game.
Yeah.
It's about getting out of those bad situations.
Yeah. Exactly.
Every time you come up against a wall, and you have to figure out what you're supposed to do next, that's gameplay, right? Like when you're cruising along, and you could just skip this part. That's not the gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're mashing the cutscene skip button during the game, then yeah, that's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, speaking of magic items,
Yeah.
let's take a look at some.
Ooh!
Let's take a look at some of these homebrews. From these are both from Reddit again.
Mm-hmm. Gonna be the best source.
Maybe I'll find another source someday. For now, it's really an endless supply of these things.
All right. So how many we have?
I think we'll do 2 again.
2 again.
We could do a third one maybe. I have 3, but we'll do at least 2.
No. We'll do 2. But I want to savor this moment. Give me a preview. Don't give away anything yet. But what do we got?
Okay, we have an item that's really similar to the banana phone.
Okay.
That
was out of the 2 last time. There was one that was sort of humorous, and one that was sort of more serious.
Yeah,
and I think the banana phone was more of a serious one.
Yeah, that was a really subterfuge, spy kind of.
Yeah,
and then the silly
the Hydra, the elemental Hydra.
Yeah.
That's goofy. That's some goofball stuff right there.
Right.
Like, I'm big dragon with a bunch of head things.
Oh, you cut off one of my heads and whoop, there's another one.
Wow.
2 more.
I get stronger the closer I am to dying.
How cool is that? Or how funny is that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so in no particular order, we have the wondrous item known as the red herring.
Okay. It's a wondrous item that's very rare.
Yep, it's uncommon. Actually,
it's only uncommon.
It's a red fish,
like
an actual red herring, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's like we're talking like a 3-inch long, 4-inch long boy,
little tiny fish.
Okay.
So as a bonus action,
that's
a bonus action with some of these items. You can throw the red herring up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of a hostile creature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you throw it next to something that's attacking.
Yeah, I think I see where this is going.
Yep. So the red herring flops around, distracting the creature, giving an effect equal to the help action, granting the next attack on the creature advantage.
Oh.
But once used on a creature, that creature is immune to the effect for 24 hours. The red herring will stay in that space until it is picked up again.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
that's extremely useful for I could see a lot of characters who are sort of like, so if you got a grappler, somebody who's controlling other NPCs' movements, then they throw that, they get advantage on their grapple and restraint and whatever they're doing. Oh yeah, you want that.
I think that this is the equivalent of you ever watch Jackie Chan Adventures?
Yeah.
There's a moment that's been burned into my brain forever. This reminds me of this moment where Uncle he's like doing a martial arts, he's putting some flair on it, and then he's like, my hands are faster than the eye, and he's like moving them around, and then he kicks the guy in the face,
right? And
he's like, oh, I didn't say anything about my feet. It's like that. You throw the fit, you're like, and I cast fireball, and they're like, whoa, and then you're like, just kick him in the face instead.
I used to do that to people in sparring.
Yeah,
I would like move my hands around like that and then just kick them.
Yeah,
I'd be like, "What the heck, man?"
I did stuff like that too. I remember one time. I don't remember if this was a test, like one of my tests or not. I think it was just we were just sparring. But I would do the Bruce Lee like nose flick and then kick, and I kept doing that. I would like flick my nose and then kick, and then flick my nose and then kick, and I did that over and over again. And then I started kicking without doing it. And then I started doing it without kicking. And let me just say that the person I was sparring, it was very effective on them in particular. It was just like it was just for fun. I mean, it wasn't a legitimate strategy. But,
yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah. And I love it. It's the meat from Zelda 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
works the same way. Just distracts the monster like why? But it's perfect.
Yeah.
Also, I like the name. I like it. It's
Red
really good. Okay. And it matches, right? Like
Yep. Mm-hmm.
that's what a red herring is and does.
It's
Now,
really nice.
with that herring,
Uh-huh.
can you cut down an oak tree? Does it say in the description on it that they have?
Well, it says a creature.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming yes. You could cut down an oak tree with it.
I guess.
If it was moving fast enough.
Could.
It's probably going to be a strength check with disadvantage, and the creature will take equal damage to the tree.
The red herring doesn't have hit points.
Oh!
You know?
No, it probably has the same as like a regular fish, small fish.
So 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But that just means that when it's killed, or when it's downed,
Yeah.
it'll probably be also immediately killed. Which means you can go grab its soul from wherever. You know.
Well, if it takes 2 hit points worth of damage,
then it will die immediately.
Dead.
Yeah. Which that would almost be enough to knock down a tree. But I'm thinking you could probably do a little more than that.
I really want to yes and you right now, but I'm
Yeah.
really not sure where you're going with this. I'm confused.
Oh no, it's a Monty Python thing.
Oh,
anyway, well,
I was lost.
No. It's all good.
I was lost.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, it's good. What's the next thing? Is it an item? Is it a?
This is a monster.
Got a little animal business.
Yeah, a monster here.
Mm-hmm.
I like this a lot. This is. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. The red herring that
we
came,
apologize.
That I do apologize. That came to us by user mental_moose. Mental moose.
Mental moose, thank you. We love you.
You're all right.
That's all you can give them? Just an all right?
I don't know them personally. I can't.
No, we love you in like a sort of general like meta love sense, like
mm-hmm.
like not
the same love that I have for all of God's creatures.
Yeah, any god, whichever God's creatures.
Right. Or
God's is creatures is.
Or
I'm not sure how you pluralize both of those. Anyway.
Well, this one comes to us from user DeckOfJokersGames.
Ooh.
Is that like a deck of many things thing, or I'm not sure. Anyway, it's an abyssal bull. All right, so it's a creature from the abyss, a demon,
mm-hmm.
if you will. And they have some serious lore attached to this thing. It's not just a creature.
So when you say bull, you're talking BOLE, right?
No.
Or how
BULL.
Oh, bull.
First of all, before I even get into this, let me say the artwork on this
mm-hmm.
is really cool.
Well, show it to him.
I did. It's in the description.
That's right. Yeah, you should check down there.
You should click on this. If you're gonna click on something, you got to click on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
really,
the link to our OnlyFans page.
It's really it's really good. As per the rules of this subreddit, all of the artwork is indeed credited on the page. So I can't find it right now, but
you can look at it. This is an abyssal bull.
Yes.
So it's got horns.
Uh-huh.
And it's from the abyss.
Yes.
Cool. We're off to a good start. Wait, let me guess some more things.
Okay.
It's a creature. That's all I got, actually. I don't know what else about, like, what is it? So it's something you'd fight. Would you fight it?
Potentially. Well, it has a stat block. You could fight anything with a stat block.
Okay.
But here's the lore behind it.
Uh-huh.
So like anything from the abyss,
yeah.
It's chaotic, right?
Yes.
But so what it says here, they're chained. I'm sure there are wild ones too, but like they have functionality in the abyss.
Oh, okay.
So they're chained to the fortresses of the abyssal lords, and drag the fortresses around so that the fortresses are mobile.
Right.
And they're just constantly being whipped and driven,
mm-hmm.
and forced forward. and it's it's oh man, this is just so cool. There's just so much thought put into this. Um, and it says right here that sometimes they break free of their chains and trample through the abyss and go crazy and destroy as much as possible. But they're challenge rating 9. One of them is so. They're pretty hefty, man. They're pretty strong. We're looking at resistant to cold, fire, lightning, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, which is pretty standard for fiendish creatures.
Yep.
Immune to charmed, frightened, and poisoned. Immune from poison damage.
Wow. The poison immunity is a big one.
Yeah. Most fiends are.
Well, yeah, but I mean, anything that you could just run into by chance because it broke free. It's a CR9 creature with poison immunity and all the other stuff too. But man, it sounded pretty tough.
This might come to a shock to you, but the Abyss is a dangerous place.
The Abyss, I wouldn't say it's that dangerous.
You're right.
I mean, it's not like people die everywhere.
Yeah. You know what? People will die whether they go to the Abyss or not.
You don't just stop like living because you're gonna die. So why would you stop going to the Abyss?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
Magic resistance.
Yeah.
So advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects.
So this sounds like the kind of thing that you would tame because of the resistance to charm. That's what I'm gathering from this.
Yeah,
like you see one of these, you're gonna be like, "Hey, come here," and then you give it like a cube of sugar, and like it's all happy with you, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, let's go wreck some people."
Make a friend with an abyssal bull. I don't think that's working.
What size is this thing? Does it say that?
Oh,
is it regular bull size, or are we talking something huge?
Oh yeah, man, I didn't even notice that before. Huge fiend. So for those uninitiated, medium-sized creatures fit in a 5x5 cube-ish.
Yeah, it's like person size.
Yeah, person size. Large is like 10x10.
Yeah, it's like twice as big as you. Like if you looked at it and you were like, "Geez, that thing it's like elephant sized almost."
Yeah, that would be large. And then huge is like a size category above that.
Right. Like, so it's like we're talking blue whale.
Right. Exactly. So
or are those bigger than that? I'm not sure what size category blue whales are in.
And then there's gargantuan, which is above that.
Yeah. Either way, though, this thing is at least whale sized, some type of whale, right?
Man, I would. Well, they would have to be if they drag, the
well, that's what I thought. I just wasn't sure how many. Like, if they have like 1,000 of them lined up across the front of the fortress.
Right.
Or in this case, it sounds like it's probably more like 50.
Yeah, I was imagining large, but huge is that's pretty. That's cool.
And I'm thinking the fortresses are very, very big too, but they could be smaller, and you can just have one fortress or one abyssal bull carrying a fortress too. I could see that being the case.
That's possible.
It's less of a fortress than more of like a hut.
So this is nuts. The bull can take a reaction every turn in combat.
Ooh.
So instead of having one reaction per round, it has a reaction. So that's nice for large parties. Because
it basically as soon as you try to get near it, it's gonna smash you.
Right.
And it's so crazy and chaotic. It just does it all the time. That's its thing.
Right. And I think that it's
almost like it's a bull swatting flies with its tail.
Yeah. And
it's swatting your party.
Like
with its horns.
But the reactions it uses the chains on its back.
Yeah.
So like when it breaks the chains, it breaks the so it still has these long chains.
And that's what Fleetwood Mac wrote that song about.
Absolutely.
That's why you don't do that.
Of course.
Must never. Anyway.
Of course, it has a charge attack. So if it moves at least 20 feet in a direction before attacking, it has
That's what I kind of figured. I actually thought when you started describing it, I thought that its whole thing was if it broke off, it would just run straight forward through everything like infinitely.
Yeah, that's what it basically is getting at here.
Yeah.
And of course, it has multi-attack. It has a gore attack, right? Stomp and writhing chains, which has a 15-foot reach. The chains, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's really cool.
That's a scary boy.
I wouldn't want to run into one for sure.
Yeah, it would make a very good pet though.
Oh, so cute. Yeah. Adorable little guy for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, if you had a good way of transporting it, yes. So like basically, if you could polymorph it into something smaller and then be like, all right, you're back to normal again.
Yeah, or like a bird or something. If you just get a large enough cardboard box, you just put it right over it, and then it thinks it's nighttime and it goes to sleep.
Yeah. I wonder if that does work. I don't think it does work with bulls.
Probably not bulls.
No, I mean it doesn't work with dogs.
No, Basket doesn't do that.
No, I don't think so. She just sleeps all the time. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it sounds like a dog. Sleep all the time. Okay, yeah, you had something you wanted to bring up too, right?
Well, while we're on the topic of homebrew, let's keep homebrewing.
Sure.
What about homebrew classes, races, all these other things? Like the things that character selection, basically. Homebrewing, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Now, races is super easy.
Yeah.
You just take the stat changes from one race and apply them to other stats, and then boom, you got a different thing. Yeah. I think that Wizards kind of did that already a lot, and that's why, they have so many different races, but they're all pretty similar.
Yeah.
But you can still just do that to make a new one and not worry too much.
Yeah, the formula is pretty simple.
Right.
That you basically just give them 3 points in one of their ability scores.
Yeah.
Spread out however you want. Like 2 in one or the other, 3. I don't think any race has +3 in anything, but I don't see why not.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
You could do that. Maybe that would, I guess, for a standard array, if you're doing like standard array scoring, that would make it so that somebody could get a 20 on one of their stats at level 4.
Which is fine.
But I guess
it's okay.
Yeah, I guess it's not a big deal.
Because they were going to do it at level 8 anyway. Or what is it level?
Yeah, you right. Yeah, because I think 15 is normally the highest, and then you might have a +2 in something. So
yeah,
it would take you. Yeah, so you could get 19, but then, yeah. So
and I'll say my character, Liam, has a 20 in intelligence.
Yeah,
it's not that unbalanced.
No, it really isn't.
But I roll awfully anyway. So every time I have to do a check on my intelligence, I'm like, great, that's a 3. At least that +8 or whatever brings it to 11. But 11's not very good either.
Yep, +5, and then your proficiency bonus, which is +3, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, brings it to an 11, which
So the real thing though is like morphologically different races. All right, so if you've got like a tail, if you've got like different size, I'm thinking like Loxodon there. Those are much bigger. We're playing as some sort of giant. You want to you have to be a little careful, I think, right? Like if I wanted to play as a storm giant, that's a little too good.
Yeah.
Like just a baby storm giant is gonna wreck a normal level 1 character of any other race.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a way to balance that out, which is probably gonna involve making all the rest of the party better. So you do want to keep it within some constraints. But okay, let's do it. We're gonna take on Saiyans. How do you play a Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z? First of all, they're too strong.
Yeah.
They're like too good. But most, like the average Saiyans actually weren't all that strong. That's why they all died. That's kind of why they all died. It's not exactly like that,
I
but
feel like I've seen something like that before, like a homebrew.
oh, absolutely, yeah. I've seen a few. Basically, their points went into Constitution, or Strength. You could do either one.
Yeah, or a little bit of both.
Then they have the tail disadvantage. As long as they have the tail, first of all, they could turn into the giant ape at night, which is basically a polymorph into a different creature during a full moon, similar to werewolves, which are also, I think, mechanically valid. I think you could be a werewolf.
Yeah, lycanthropy exists.
Yeah,
and there actually are easy way. You don't even have to make anything up for that.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah,
actually,
there's already a creature that you would like. That there is already stats for that.
Yeah, there's a shifter race. Mm-hmm. I'm really only familiar with the stuff that's on D&D Beyond.
Oh right, the shift. Yeah, I do. I've seen that. Yeah.
So that's not the same, but you could play. But you could play it like that.
Yeah, and I probably would if I was gonna, if I was going to role play the werewolf, like if they still had intelligence of any sort and anything like that, then I would do it that way. Mm-hmm. If they just turned into a feral creature, then I would probably give them a different stat block, but they also wouldn't be controlled by the player at that point. And I don't know if that's super fun necessarily. It depends. It depends.
How
do we make a werewolf fun?
Well, let me tell you, I actually have experience with that. I think it was the first game I ever ran, was a one shot that I'm gonna feel bad if I leave somebody out, but I think it was just Forrest, Carly, and Colin. Mm-hmm. And it was over New Year's. We stayed up past midnight. I don't even think we watched the ball drop because we were having a lot of fun. I ran a one-shot campaign that I basically, I think, made up on the spot as we did it. And I had them make characters, and I said you could do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. We'll just do whatever. I was really loose with it. Mm-hmm. And Colin's character that he made was really cool. It was just like that. He basically played a tiny cat creature that was a rogue, mm-hmm. and then at certain triggering points, I can't remember if there was an external factor or an internal factor for when this happened. He would basically rage and turn into a large barbarian creature. So basically, I just had him make two characters, mm-hmm. and his stats would change when he did it. But he had the condition where he had to attack something every round. So even when the monster was dead, he had to attack something, so he would attack the party.
Yeah.
Until he calmed down. And there were conditions for that too. So something like that is something you could do.
Yep.
Right?
That's a good one.
And that was really fun. And he commented about how much fun he had on that. Playing that creature, and it was a really cool idea. That's probably one of my. I'm getting nostalgic now because that was definitely a standout memory of mine, was his character, and then the other one was I gave them basically a rock or an earth elemental, mm-hmm. that they had control over. I gave them an item that summoned an earth elemental that was under their command, and I basically made it so that he couldn't heal, because I think it was a level 3 campaign, and it was way too strong of an item. So I nerfed it just by saying that he couldn't heal at all. So every time he took damage, he was just down, and then once he was dead, he was gone. Mm-hmm. But they had him pick up Forrest's character, I think, because there was a flying enemy that would swoop down and attack him, and they couldn't reach him. So they had him pick them up and throw them at the creature. That's one of the standout moments too. That was, and it worked, and I think so that was cool.
Yeah.
I think they rolled they either rolled a natural 20 or the total was 20, but it was good.
Nice.
By the way, I looked it up. Loxodons are really big and tall, still medium-sized creatures.
Interesting.
I think that because I was thinking when you said that, all playable races officially
It should be medium.
are medium-sized creatures. Yeah. But they do stand 7 to 8 feet tall.
Oh, okay. I thought they were more like 10.
But they're still medium.
I mean, 7 to 8 feet tall is only like a little bit taller than some of the people in my family.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like maybe
it's 3 inches taller than Jordan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, like only a couple of inches taller than Jordan. Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy to think about.
Right.
That he's almost 7 feet tall. But no, people can get that tall, I guess.
It is true. I mean, definitely, if there were Loxodons here, NBA recruiters would be all over them.
Right.
Because, well, I don't know. Well, basically, if you're above 7 feet tall at any point in your life, they basically just start trying to recruit you for professional basketball. Do you know about this? They just immediately are like, hey, you should probably be playing professional basketball.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. And if you're actually any good at it, they'll start like fast tracking you, getting you on teams and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, real quick. Like scouts are going to be out there because if you find a 7'4" guy who can hold people out of the paint and dunk without movement, there you go. Like that's a pretty solid player. He can even if he's not going to be the star of your team, he'll be a good substitute.
Or just good to have around. Yeah.
Good to practice against. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
right?
Even if he's lanky.
You don't want the other team practicing against that.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, yeah, just being tall is
right. It's a big thing. The proportion of 7 foot tall or taller people who are in the NBA out of all 7 foot people is crazy. It's crazy.
It's like 90% maybe.
It's not. No, I don't remember.
No,
I'd have to look at it again. But it's just one of those examples of how math works out weird in the world.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
That if you are that tall, because that's the 90. That's the 95th percentile, or
I'm the 99th percentile
in height.
In height.
Really?
Yes. At like 6'3" or 4. Or maybe I'm the 98 point something. Jordan is in the 99.99th percentile.
Yeah.
So if you're above 7 feet, that is, I think it's 6 sigma. I think that's 1 in a million.
Wow.
So that means that there are less than 300 people like that in the U.S. roughly.
Yeah.
Something like that, Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's it. What amazes me is that they don't get more people from the Netherlands, from the Netherlands playing, or wherever it is, because there are a couple of countries with higher average heights where like it's actually almost, it's not common to have people who are above 7 feet, but like the average height is 6'3". Like I'm average there.
Wow.
And there are plenty of people who...
I'm short there. That's
right.
I wouldn't be used to that.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? To almost tie that back to D&D.
Oh, great.
Almost.
Well, yeah.
We'll see if I can pull this one off.
Yeah.
All right. So if you look at D&D characters, they are not average people.
Absolutely not.
Not even close.
No way. An average person would not go through that. Yeah.
No. They would just die. Now, all right, let's say that the physics work differently in your D&D setting. We got our guest star activated.
Yep, Basket's
ready to do something.
Around. Wants to leave the room, I guess.
She'll probably start squeaking in a minute. It's okay.
All
right. She might figure out the door. We'll see. Anyway, so because the characters are so distinctly not average, some things are tough to do as a player. It's hard to role play that, right? Like, if you've got a character, if you're a person who got like 1200 on the SATs out of 1800, you know, if it was all 3 subjects or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're playing a character with 20 intelligence. How do you do that? Right?
It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even if you are super smart and you don't feel that smart, all right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you're not that smart, or if you know you're not that smart, either way,
mm-hmm.
what do? You
know what's harder probably?
What?
If you aren't that smart but you think you are.
I mean, that's obviously the hardest one.
Yeah. that would be the hardest one to play.
Are you trying to tell me something right now?
Anyway,
actually though, for my character, I'm probably pretty close. I'm probably close.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
in different areas, unfortunately. I picked the wrong areas to be smart at.
Well,
no, my life is good, I have to say.
Well, okay,
anyway.
It's worth pointing out too that the 3 like physical ability scores are really easy to roleplay.
Yeah, Constitution's super easy because your character just has a bunch of hit points, so they can take a beating.
Yeah, and strength, role-playing strength is not a big deal.
You just go, hey, can I throw this person? And your DM's like, you have 20 strength. You can roll for it, but you're probably going to be able to throw them.
Yeah. and then dexterity, same way, really easy. But I would say intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
Charisma's the hardest.
Yeah,
I would say that's the hardest.
So
wisdom.
hard.
So wisdom, I found a cool idea.
Okay.
The DM can give you a handout of mixed useful and useless info about the setting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was a great idea to me, because that's kind of how wisdom feels as a person who has been, as weird as this sounds, I know, I've been called wise before. That's how wisdom feels.
Got it.
All right? As someone who is quote unquote wise, wisdom just feels like, I don't know what I did, but I knew this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I knew.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times people get wisdom and intelligence mixed up. Like, where's the line? Like, what's wisdom? What's intelligence? When there's that adage, or whatever that I saw on the internet once, I'm sure everybody's seen it. That intelligence is knowing that tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
Yeah. But wisdom is usually more like a feeling. So you could say that.
Yeah, it's sensory, it's intuitive. Yeah.
So actually, a lot of the way that what is quote unquote wisdom seems to, the way it seems to work is, and the reason that older people have it so much is that it's almost like you've trained your neural net, that is your brain, just to it matches patterns. That's what brains do. That's what all neural nets do. They just match patterns. Yeah. And as you get older, you've seen more patterns. So the reason that people seem wise when they are wise when they're older, right? And it's because they've seen so many of these different patterns and they've gotten good at matching them, that some connections that are not obvious to younger people are obvious to them. Right. So that's, how do you role play that? That's a good question.
Yeah, if you don't have those experiences yet, then how do you pretend that you do?
Because young people could have that too. Like, your character could be a teenager and be wise, especially if you roll for it. You have no choice.
And if your character has experienced a lot at a young age, they would be wise.
They would be wise.
That's the case.
So what I think you need to do is you have to remember that when you're role playing strength, you go, hey, can I throw this guy? And your DM says, sure, roll. When you're role playing wisdom, you have to be like, wait a minute, can I intuit something about this situation? And your DM would be like, sure, roll wisdom, right? So that's kind of obvious. Yeah. But then the other thing is, the reason I think charisma is so hard is that people want to role play the conversations. And for some reason, Critical Role, if you're if you are not a professional actor, then that means that your charisma isn't good. right? Like that's how it kind of almost works out mechanically, because
Yeah.
if you can't convincingly lie to the NPC just through your own words and actions,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't count. Whereas really that should be a roll. You should be rolling for stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
And
well, okay. So Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've learned a lot from that
right
show, good or bad. And I've heard
Critical Role is absolutely net positive.
Yes.
And overall, on any individual campaign which they've influenced, positive as well. That's what I think.
I think so too.
Excellent.
I've seen so
So
many.
now we're about to say some terrible stuff about them. Get ready for the vicious mockery, guys.
Well, okay. So I've seen article. I don't read them. Maybe I should read them. But I've seen article headlines that are like, "How Critical Role has ruined D&D," and it's like, I wouldn't even be playing D&D if it wasn't for Critical Role. So I think that Critical Role has done a lot of positive things for D&D.
Right.
Because I've paid Wizards of the Coast a lot of money because of them.
Yeah.
That's why D&D Beyond sponsors them.
Yeah.
For every episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but so you're right. They're all professional actors, and for me, as somebody who has experience with acting and likes that part of it, I really want to do that. I really want to engage in that kind of thing, and I feel like I'm at least decent at it, and it's fun for me. But there are players in our campaign that don't feel that way.
Well, and in general, I mean, I would say, so if your character has 20 charisma, all right, if they're what person in the world has 20 charisma? Who has that?
Sam Riegel.
He might have it. Okay, give me who are more examples of 20 charisma people? Dave Grohl.
Oh, absolutely.
He has 20 charisma.
Yeah, Dave Grohl 100%. Brendan Urie.
Brendan Urie might have. Yeah, he might have 19 charisma.
Almost there.
I feel like he doesn't quite succeed on all his roles, He's close. He's a 19 or a 20, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's there.
I'm sure.
Dave Grohl, though, you're right.
Yeah, he's a 20. So if that guy comes up to you and he talks to you, that's the highlight of your maybe life.
Yeah, possibly.
At least week, though.
Yeah.
All right. How do you get a character who does that? What I think is say, hey, DM, using my overwhelming charisma, is there some way I could convince this person to give us their house for free? And the DM will be like, that sounds tough. We better roll for it. And then, okay, so listen to this. Here's how you do this. Here's how you make this happen. You roll for it. The roll succeeds. You know the outcome. Now it's time to role play. Now you actually do the role playing and see how that went down. And it can be funny and ridiculous then. Yeah. And the other thing is, you got other people. So maybe you don't have 20 charisma, but your entire party combined better have 20 charisma.
Yeah.
If you add up the charisma scores of all the people at your table and you're like, we got an 8, man. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Total combined 8?
Yeah. When an average person has a 10, don't know. I don't know how you can even sit in the same room as each other.
You guys are also...
You probably don't all have negative charisma scores if you're all sitting in the same room as each other, or if you're all on a video chat together. Okay?
Yeah.
So together, you can come up with a situation that makes you feel like this character has 20 charisma. But some people might be like, oh, well, I didn't come up with that for my character. Doesn't matter, man. It's cool. All right? They're your character that you created. They can do stuff that you haven't thought of, though.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah.
They're better than you give them credit for. I'm giving your character a motivational speech right now.
And you see, but I think that if you're trying to convince somebody of something,
right,
in the game, you at least have to come up with
maybe a game plan of
the angle that you're coming at it from, because I think that affects the DC of how difficult it is to convince them. too.
Not necessarily.
Really?
So so check this out.
Okay.
There, you know what? Psychology in general has trouble with replication sometimes of studies, and I don't remember where I saw this one.
Okay.
But there was a study done at some university. What they did was, here's the setup. They stopped all the copiers at the library working except one.
Okay. I read about this study. Yeah.
There was a big long line for the copier, and people would ask if they could go to the first person in line. They'd be like, "Hey, could I copy this before you?" And they'd give them a reason. So that was like the control almost, sort of. And 94% of the time they were like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." All right, even though there's this long line, all that kind of stuff. If they said, "Hey, can I copy this real quick? I need to copy this." 93% said, "Sure, go ahead." Like, technically, yes, that's a reason, sort of, but wait a minute.
I think I remember reading one of the examples because they used legitimate excuses.
Legitimate excuses, yes.
And they also used ones that don't make sense.
Right.
And it was basically the same.
Yes.
Because I remember one of the examples was somebody walked up and they were like, "Hey, can I copy this real quick? My dog really has to go to the bathroom." and it's like,
I do kind of remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's the same way as them being like, "My class is in 10 minutes. I need to, like the same way they were like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." Which is insane. So I see where you're coming from with that.
What I think is let the game mechanics determine what's going to happen as much as you can or as much as you need to, and then the rest can be your spin on it, your wit. It's your chance to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, you've convinced me.
What?
You've convinced me.
Guys, I have to confess, I rolled a 20 before this. I already knew I was gonna. No, but that's what I like about this, though, is anytime we have a discussion like this, always 100%, you got to be open to being convinced one way or the other.
Because what you're basically saying is make persuasion checks and intelligence checks and things like that the same as a strength check, where you say, "I intend to do this," and then you make a roll for it, and if you roll high enough, you succeed.
And you act it out some way,
and then you say how it happens. Yeah,
because that was so in our campaign, Liam hitting the spinning target game.
Oh yeah.
That was a moment that felt awesome.
But
it was dice rolls first. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna blump blump blump. He succeeded.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah.
So I wasn't supposed to swear.
It's okay. We can.
I'll just block it out.
Well, okay, yeah, because so for context for everybody else, that was a great moment. It was
right.
So Austin's character Liam, not strong.
No, not athletic. But he thinks he is.
Well, yeah,
and he's got magic.
So he's got magic. There was basically one of those strength games, like carnival.
Like
games.
think carnival, hit the bell, bling.
Yeah, but it was lateral, like you hit with a hammer laterally, and it spun.
And it would go up a corkscrew. Yeah, a corkscrew, yeah.
Yeah, and then you were trying to knock a bucket off the top. And the DC was pretty high.
Yep.
For getting it to, it was a hard game. But because your character wasn't strong, you were like, okay, I'm gonna cast Longstrider.
Yeah,
or something.
I cast Longstrider and then also one that improved jumping distance. I don't remember.
Jump.
Yeah. Oh, it might have been jump. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he cast something that allowed him to basically fly through the air really fast.
Yeah.
Like cover a lot of
he
distance.
got a running start and then jumped.
Yeah. So instead of a strength check, I made it a dexterity check because I'm like, okay, you're going fast enough that you'd probably just with the momentum of the hammer, you're gonna hit it. So this is a dexterity check of whether or not you can actually like make impact with the correct part because you're going so fast.
Right.
You rolled a 20, I think, right?
You did. Yeah. It was a natural 20.
So and that was a great moment.
Yeah. He hit so hard that he couldn't hold the hammer. So he just slammed into it. It spun all the way up, and he dropped the hammer like, ow, ow.
Yeah, his delicate hands,
little hands
couldn't handle holding a hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was super cool. I think that the DC was high, but I think that everybody who tried it successfully knocked the bucket.
Yeah, except for Dissel purposely did not. He succeeded, but then had Impy stop it because he wanted to win the bet.
Oh yeah, he does a lot of stuff like that.
Right. So actually, you've convinced me now.
Okay.
If you put in the work as the player,
and
you come up with a compelling angle,
yes,
that's a good start for any of these situations.
I'll reward that night all day long.
That's
you know.
So if your DM is not on your side, that's not a good campaign.
Yeah, that's true.
Your DM actually is on your side. They want a really great and Basket wants a lot of attention now.
Yes, Basket is just wagging her tail.
Oh, but don't hit the microphone, please. Basket, what do you want to say? What do you want to say to all those people at home listening right now? What do you want to tell them?
Sniff the microphone?
Go sniff the microphone.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Basket. You're all petty, Basket, for a while. All right.
Well, thanks for ruining our show, Basket.
Yeah, seriously, Basket. What's wrong with you? Anyway.
No, let's call it there, man.
Okay.
No, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, well, let's wrap it up. I'll finish. I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
As a DM, I feel retroactively like that Liam doing like you thinking of that's inspiration worthy. I think. And actually, I thought about.
I probably already have an inspiration point because I mess with it so much.
Yeah, probably.
I probably don't have to do anything to my character.
But I think that if the players come up with creative solutions, if there's a problem where the straightforward solution, your character is not your character's strong suit, and you think of a way.
You know what? Yeah.
To do it like with something else.
We just figured out inspiration.
That I would give an inspiration point for that. Yeah, absolutely.
At any time. Yeah, that's it. It's when you role play your character in a dire, desperate situation like that.
yeah. A carnival game. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And you come out on top because of what your character can do, and you realize you unlock their hidden potential. Right.
Yeah. Honestly, whether it works out or not, if it was a good idea, I'll give inspiration for that.
Now everybody else is gonna be coming after you, being like, "Hey, I could use some inspiration for, like."
Well, Paul keeps just assuming that he has a wish spell for some reason every game. I don't know why.
Doesn't he usually? I keep remembering like sometimes Discord like disconnects you, but I swear.
Oh, yeah.
This one time, you were like, Paul, you can use Wish. I'm going to be gone real quick.
Yeah.
I remember that happening. I don't know what, because you came back and it didn't seem like you remembered it, but I don't know.
But I remember it, and that's what really matters.
Yeah. I'm not gaslighting you. Have you seen that play? Me neither. No one has. Nice.
Awesome. Great.
Some people have, clearly, but.
All right, I think you're right. We can call it there.
Yep. Basket is being very demanding for attention right now, guys. So forget about you. We have a tiny little dog to take care of.
Just a small little dog named Basket to do something with. I don't know.
We'll see you again next week. Take care, you little rascals.
Oh, yeah. Have a good one.